Communications Regulatory Commission in Grenada, and Mr. Tariq Mohammed. He is the Caribbean ICT Youth Network Chair and Advisor to the Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. This morning, we will have some remarks by Mr. Rodney Taylor, the Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. He will speak to you on the role of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, priority issues affecting the Caribbean regions, and of course, expected outcomes from this year's forum. Mr. Rodney, you have the floor at this time.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. Thanks to the media for joining us today. I am Rodney Taylor. I am currently the Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. It is one of the 16 CARICOM institutions. If you follow the news, you know that the CARICOM has specialized institutions dealing with public health, with security, with agriculture, and the CTU deals with telecommunications and ICT. Our focus is to ensure that there's harmonization within CARICOM on the issues of information and communication technology, so that as companies in the ICT space do business in the region, that there is harmonization in terms of regulation, in terms of spectrum. You all would be familiar with the operators in the region like Digicel, Cable and Wireless, now Liberty, and there are national operators in Trinidad, for example, like TSTT in Bahamas, Antigua, and so on. We want to ensure, because our markets are small, but the region is big in terms of its population size, in terms of our ambitions, and so on. The Minister adequately pointed out this morning in his remarks Grenada's role and Grenada's ambition to ensure that it delivers for its citizens in terms of digital services. We want to ensure, for example, that the citizens of Grenada no longer have to go to a government office to interact with government. That is my dream, and I hope that that is realized before I die. I don't have much longer on this earth. But seriously, we want to ensure that our citizens have the best in class, that they are able to interact with government digitally, and that we have the best services that can be delivered through our digital network. So our objective as CTU is to ensure that we have the critical infrastructure that is available to our governments and to our region. That includes submarine cables that that connect us to the rest of the world. That includes data centers that host our data here, so that we ensure that there's data sovereignty. That includes digital identities and payments and so on, civil registries that allow us to identify citizens as they interact. So that is where we sit in the regional landscape. We have responsibility for driving the regional single ICT space. We also work very closely with other CARICOM agencies on the issue of cybersecurity. CARICOM Impacts is one. So this week we are in our 22nd edition of the Internet Governance Forum. And this forum is the longest standing Internet Governance Forum in the world. We are pleased to have partners with us like the American Registry for Internet Numbers, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, LACNIC, Internet Society, and others. These are critical organizations that manage the critical internet infrastructure. So there's no one single organization that runs the internet. There are a number of different organizations that come together that deliver what we consider to be internet. And you don't think about it. Every day you're on your phone, you're calling on WhatsApp, you're on Facebook, Instagram, you're accessing government services, you're checking information online. It doesn't run on its own. It runs based on technical standards. Like I have the same opportunities that any young person has in Silicon Valley or in London, in Singapore, information and communication technology. And the CTU is here to support Grenada in that role. Thanks to the NTRC as well. Vincent in particular has been a champion of the CTU, and he has been influential in getting us to establish a regional regulatory body. So I express my sincere appreciation to him and to the people of Grenada for hosting us this week. Thank you.
We're happy to host you again. I know you're very fond of Grenada. You've given your story about your wedding in Grenada several times. So we now know your business, Mr. Taylor, but we're happy that you've chosen Grenada to spend the time with us. And now we move to Mr. Vincent Roberts. He's the chairman of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission right here in Grenada. Mr. Roberts, you have the floor at this time for your remarks.
How much time do I have?
2 minutes.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Minister, Rodney, Tariq. It's really a privilege for me to be sitting here this morning addressing you. Now, the NTRC, as most people know, is a regulatory body. What they don't know is that we do a lot of stuff in carrying out the policies of the government. So when we develop our strategic plan, it is not something in isolation. And we learn of the government policy through interacting, meetings and so on with members of the government. Now, fast forward to where we are today. We have a new minister, Minister Ron Redhead, who happens to be my MP. So interacting with him comes quite easily. And it has quickly influenced the direction of the NTRC. Now, yesterday, when Commissioner McIntosh spoke, he told you about the things that we are doing outside of the regulatory framework, where our main focus is protecting the public interest. At the same time, while we do so, we make sure that we do not hinder innovation. And connectivity and the new forms that it is taking is part of our function. So before 2026, we didn't have regulation allowing the operation of satellite providers. Our minister here has been instrumental in trying to fast forward and make sure that things that were in the pipeline, the whole long process of creating the new regulations, that we were able to get this done. In terms of the IXP, and people wondering, well, the internet works, but they didn't realize that the NTRC is behind the IXP facilitating all that is happening. And in collaboration with other members of the ICT ecosystem, we have Edmund Burke, our digital director, who, while leading the government's running of the data center, the responsibility, the NTRC is behind the scenes making sure that we get the ISO certification, that it is where we want it to be, and all of these things. So the NTRC is playing a big game in carrying out the policies and making sure that it develops. And one of the new things that we are looking at, again through the government policy coming through the minister, we interact quite a lot with CABSEC. We're looking at establishing a forum, which I'm sure you'll speak more on it, where software developers can identify a challenge or a problem, build a solution, and the NTRC, through the Universal Service Fund, will pay for its implementation, its realization, so that it can be implemented. So we are looking at that through the developers, and we are also looking at the youth who did a challenge program in using AI to solve a problem. We had that just about 2 months ago, and we are also going to put some funds, again, when we say that, it's through the Universal Service Fund, which comes from the providers paying a percentage of their profits into this fund, which we manage. So we're going to be advancing the work of the youth in AI. So we're doing quite a bit of stuff, hoping that the objectives, the policies of the government will be done. We also interact with a lot of the international organizations. The NTRC represents the government of Grenada on ICANN, where we are part of the Governmental Advisory Committee. We, at the CTU, we make sure that our presence is always there. And actually the Act, the Telecoms Act of 2000, mandates that we make sure the government is represented at all regional and international forum in related to ICT, telecommunications, and the like. So that's what we're doing, just making sure that, you know, the internet ticks and that the government policy is enforced, implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. And now we invite our youth representative, Mr. Tariq Mohammed. Tariq is the chair of the Caribbean ICT Youth Network and advisor to the Secretary General, Mr. Rodney. And of course, the Caribbean ICT Youth Network is an initiative of the CTU to develop the next generation of ICT leaders, regulators, engineers, policymakers, and entrepreneurs. And we're happy to have our youth representative. And at this time, Tariq, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And firstly, thank you for the privilege both of being able to speak in this conference, but also to being in Grenada once again. Every time I come here, I am always very well hosted. Vincent knows very well. So, Minister mentioned this morning that the future of the Caribbean must be built by Caribbean minds. And the youth themselves being digital natives, those that have grown up with technology and have been molded and are actively using technology, are really pivotal in ensuring that a digital future that we create is both inclusive but also well driven by innovation. Here we're looking at moving the youth from simply users of technology, but creators, developers, and builders of our digital future. And that's really what the Caribbean Youth Internet Governance Forum is about. We were established in 2022, and we've been having, so this is the fifth forum. In 2024, we were recognized internationally by the United Nations as a national and regional initiative. And so we're now part of the global discourse as well, representing the Caribbean youth at that international level. Yesterday, we had the 5th Caribbean Youth Internet Governance Forum, in which we explored topics such as AI, opportunities and barriers for the youth in the region, the digital creative economy, and very importantly, how Grenadian youth can be empowered to shape a safe and inclusive digital future. Here, we've included and incorporated the voices of youth, designing the forum by youth, for youth, to ensure that the areas of interest, the concerns and challenges that youth experience on a daily basis are brought to the foreground, and that we can understand and engage meaningfully in how we fill the gaps which exist. This, of course, gives youth the platform to make their voices heard and to then serve as partners in building our digital futures. This, of course, falls within the larger scope of work of the CTU in its inclusion activities, which is the Caribbean ICT Youth Network, which I chair. This was an initiative that was launched in 2023 to encourage and have youth involved through, among other things, capacity building, internship and mentorship programs, guided exposure to international and regional policy making to develop their capacity to build the next generation of youth leaders. And you don't need to be an engineer, a developer, to be part of this. ICTs are for everyone. As you mentioned earlier, the youth network looks at lawyers, social scientists, everybody, because ICTs is a cross-cutting field, and we really need to ensure that youth who are so embedded in technology, whether you use it every day, whether you're a mastery at ChatGPT and developing, or whether you're just an everyday user, that you are heard and included in the digital conversation. While we do have about 450 members of the youth network, we're still building our presence in Grenada. And so we're hoping that the work that we did yesterday and over the course of this week will help grow the local presence of the youth network to really ensure that all 21 of our member territories are well represented. So for the youth that are watching, the Caribbean ICT Youth Network is free to join. There are always lots of opportunities and many ways that you can engage, not just nationally or regionally, but internationally. So with that, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Tariq. And thank you for that. I did not know that you're 21 member territories now. So congratulations, and congratulations on being recognized by the United Nations as well. And now I would like to pause to invite members of the media to pose any questions that they may have. And then following the questions, we will invite Minister Ron Redhead to make some closing remarks. And so now I invite media. I believe WFM has a question.
Good morning, Donisha Alexander, WFM Radio. The question is for Mr. Rodney. how satisfied are you with telecommunications development in the region, placing the Caribbean the par with the rest of the region?
Let me see. I am relatively satisfied. All right, there's still a long way for us to go. The region has very good infrastructure. We have good submarine cables that connect us to the rest of the world. We have world-class data centers in the region. There's a Tier 4 data center right here in Curacao. There are other data centers that support regional development ambitions in terms of digital development. We have some 5G networks deployed in the region. Barbados, well, Dominican Republic is not part of it, but St. Kitts is partially deployed. So we still have a way to go. For example, we're not on the cutting edge in terms of mobile communications. And there's an investment gap that the operators have identified, because that next level, next generation network requires significant investment to get us to that next speed. And for us, it's not just about delivering faster services, but delivering them in a secure environment and ensuring that our young people are not just consumers of the technology, but they're also developers and creators in the internet economy. So if I were totally satisfied, I would go home and not work because then the mission would be accomplished. So there's a lot more work that we need to do, and as I pointed out, we want to be able to partner with Grenada to help us drive, at the regional level in particular, cooperation within the CARICOM member states. And I'm actually sincerely hoping that Grenada will be a model for the rest of the region, that it will lead in terms of the delivery of public services to citizens. The day that Grenadians no longer have to go into a government, to leave work, take time off, to go into a government office to apply for a service, or to wait weeks or months for anything, is the day that I will be a very happy person. So there's a lot more work to be done, and we will continue to work with our member states to ensure that we reach that utopian state. Thanks. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Questions?
Apologies. Roxanne Thompson with Now Grenada. My question is, what specifically is outdated in the current framework, and could these changes eventually require Caribbean governments to amend their laws or regulations?
Well, one of the key areas of focus is artificial intelligence, and since we had the update on the last version of the Internet Governance Policy Framework, AI has dominated the global conversation around information technology and digital transformation. So definitely we are working on incorporating artificial intelligence as a component within that Internet Governance Policy Framework. We actually held just a few weeks ago the first Caribbean AI forum, right? Artificial Intelligence Forum, which brought regional minds together to address the issue of artificial intelligence and how the region can leverage this technology, not just use it, not just be consumers and log in and issue prompts to ChatGPT and Claude, but how can we leverage it more strategically? How can we develop our own products using artificial intelligence to serve our needs? And so that is definitely one area, artificial intelligence. Also, the cybersecurity is one area as well that continues to evolve. Oh, that's what you're telling me here? Okay. All right. Yeah. So cybersecurity is one that we continue to face serious threats to our critical infrastructure. We see a number of attacks in the region in terms of ransomware. Government offices are being hit. So this is one thing that we need to definitely focus on, cybersecurity. And absolutely, governments will need to update their legislation and their regulations governing these technologies. Cybersecurity legislation is one that we believe is fundamental. Data protection, privacy is something definitely that citizens need to ensure that when they give their personal information to government, that it is protected, it is kept safe, and it is not shared, and it is used only for the purpose for which it was given. Other things including modern telecommunications legislation. We have new players in the market, new LEO satellite providers that provide direct-to-device communication, so you can access satellite services on your mobile phone. You have to ensure that those are properly regulated as well and operate within the national security framework of our various member states. So there's a lot. The technology continues to evolve faster than we can regulate and faster than we can develop policy. So these forums are necessary for us to be brought up to speed on where the technology is going. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We do have another question from the audience.
Thank you very much.
I think they said the mic was off. Okay.
You can repeat for the online viewers, but we
no
heard it.
Okay, so Mr. Roberts, so the last time Grenada hosted this is a couple years ago. So let's speak about the future. What the challenges that Grenada may have faced. Are we prepared to fix that moving forward?
Now, Grenada is well poised for the future.
Nice.
There's a digital transformation agenda. And as we all know, the present government spoke a lot of transformation, social transformation, economic transformation, even the physical transformation and digital transformation as a foundation on which everything will develop. Well, there's a digital transformation agenda and a draft strategic plan, which we are, as NTRC, an organ more or less of the government, which we must be familiar with in order to develop our plans and programs. Now, I am aware that, as Mr. Taylor said a while ago, we don't have 5G in the region. I wouldn't be saying anything out of form if I say that Grenada has just approved a license for a new mobile operator. It is not in the public domain as yet, but we will be having a 5G operator in Grenada very soon.
Well, I have to ask the question.
In terms of everything digital, from our border control, people think that it's far off, but I'll tell you that soon, using present systems available through international organizations, your passenger advanced information systems will be in place in Grenada, so that when you book a flight and you're coming to Grenada, we will receive the information beforehand. And using AI-enhanced technology, as you're walking through the corridor to go to the immigration, they will use a photograph to paste it with the advanced information, so we know if you can just get a green light and you walk through. And again, with AI, you will have the personalized ability to greet you by name and say, Beville, welcome back to Grenada. So these are things that the Grenada government have already have in train and will be in place very soon. When I say very soon, we're speaking maybe by the end of the year the work would start, but definitely in 2027 you'll have all of these things. We have the digitized the registries, the civil registries, the land, birth, deaths, and so on. And when you go for a passport now, the immigration asks you to bring your birth certificate. This is a document which rests with the government. So you shouldn't have to be going to another government department to get information which the government holds. They should be able to use your ID to know that this is Pineapple and her information sits in the births and deaths registry, I can get it. So making sure that we have all of these things in place, they're in line, and again, we are part of the implementation, part of the whole framework. It is now one group, one entity being led through paying attention to what happened in Parliament. We just passed the Digital Transformation Agency, the legislation, which will remove the silos from government ministries making decisions and all of these things with regard to ICT, and this DTA running the whole show to make sure that there's coordination, interoperability, and all of the nice things that you hear about happening. So Grenada is on the cusp of big things happening, and it took a lot of foundational work making sure that the technical and legal frameworks are in place so that the implementation can start. So it's great news, new carrier coming on board, a lot of things happening. So we are very well pleased for the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Mohammed, as someone working directly with Caribbean youth, what are some of the biggest barriers preventing young people from fully participating in the digital economy?
Thank you for your question. After engaging with youth for so many years, I think one of the main challenges is a mindset block. We often think that because we are young, that we don't have the space to participate. And so that's one of the key areas that we're working at trying to overcome, by giving the youth a space to understand that there is opportunity to network, engage, and make your voices heard. And by encouraging and building their confidence, we're then building their capacity overall to be able to develop, because quite apart from all of the engagements, we also have a technical work stream of capacity building. We've sent persons to Taiwan for weeks to learn about AI, and we've also partnered with a number of other capacity building organizations. So in addition to giving them a platform to meet, discuss, engage with other policymakers, regulators, private sector, we're also building their capacity on the side to then take a multi-channeled approach towards developing their capacity, their confidence, and their ability to meaningfully contribute towards our digital development.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you so much. I have a question with regards to roaming charges across the region. I believe, Mr. Taylor, you mentioned it in your opening remarks yesterday. What role do organizations like NTRC and CTU play when it comes to that? How are you bringing the companies, the telephone companies, to the table so we can have that conversation? Because I still find my flow bill is a bit high when I go to Barbados or St. Lucia, 30 minutes away. So let's talk about that bill, and how are you pulling them to the table so we can have that conversation? I think that would benefit a lot of us. Yeah, somebody shaking their head, they want to know that too. All right.
So we took steps in 2022 towards the elimination of roaming, and that it is a step towards the elimination of roaming. That is very clear from the CARICOM heads that is the objective, that you're able to move freely from Barbados to Trinidad, Grenada, St. Lucia without having to even buy a roaming package. And the Prime Minister of Barbados put it well. She said you should roam like you're at home, because you are at home within the region. And so that's how the EU implemented it, is roam like you're at home. So whatever your home package is, you can go from France to Germany, wherever, and roam within that your domestic package. And this is what our vision is. The operators had said, we're not able to do this because there's disparity in the regulatory regimes within the CARICOM member states. So they're required to pay some taxes, for example, in Jamaica and Barbados, that they don't have to pay in Grenada or St. Lucia. And therefore, we have some work to do on our side as governments and regulators to ensure that there's also harmonization on the regulatory side. And therefore, they have no excuse, because they run and manage the networks at the regional level. They are regional networks. So coming out of the Declaration of St. George's, you should be able to buy a roaming passport for any destination that you go to within the Caribbean. If you get a high bill, call me. Call me, okay? Because it should not exist any longer. In addition to that, there are other innovations in the market like eSIMs. I travel the world and I use eSIMs. I buy unlimited data for $10, $15. And I'm on Netflix, YouTube, ordering Ubers, using Google Maps, navigating my way. Because the era of high and ridiculous roaming charges should be over by now, and certainly within the CARICOM single ICT space, it should not exist. So we have some more work to do on the government side, on the regulatory side, using, of course, NTRCs and the regional regulatory bodies that we're establishing now to ensure that you no longer have that problem.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Now I open the floor for any final questions that you may have at this time. Go ahead. There's a mic. Yeah, there's a mic.
Hi, this one is for Minister Redhead. Good morning, sir, and congratulations on your recent appointment. Actually, the question has to do with some of the key structural impediments impeding progress. The Ministry of Digital Transformation has a necessarily, and I think that Grenada has a necessarily ambitious development agenda. What are some of the key structural impediments that you anticipate or that you're already facing? And what, if any, plans are there to address them? And I'm asking, not to put you in a spot, but to understand what other kinds of support can be brought to you. And this is Bevel Wooding from Connected Caribbean News.
Thank you very much, Brother Bevel, and good morning, everyone. So definitely the first one is interoperability. And the question of the silos that exist throughout government systems. It is very difficult to ask people to go to several different departments with the same document just to get some type of approval. And so we're working towards that. What we've already done was to establish the DTA, pass the legislation, and we're in the process of appointing a board for the Digital Transformation Agency. The expectation is that once this is completed, it will be able to begin the process of, one, standardizing throughout the government service, and two, reducing some of those silos and eliminating it altogether. I think the challenge more so for Caribbean territories is the fact that we are importing a large portion of the technology, the applications. And so for us, in addition to the DTA's role of reducing silos, is to see how we can build the capacity for creating more innovators in the digital field so that we can begin to use our local applications to help enhance the work that we do and solve our problems locally.
Thank you, Minister. And while we're on, Minister Redhead, would you like to offer some final remarks as we close this morning's press conference? And anyone else on the head table, you're also welcome to do same.
All right. Well, thank you. I thought that the gentlemen on the head table were very informative and they provided all the information. I didn't know that I necessarily needed to close. But just to say thank you to the CTU, certainly on behalf of the government of Grenada. And thanks to the NTRC, they've been leading the charge in this regard. Grenada only recently signed a study to be commissioned for a new undersea cable. And we have some very exciting news. You heard Chairman Vincent Roberts announcing about 5G, etc. And so what we believe we are doing at this time is advancing Grenada's digital capacity. Advancing it to the extent within the region, we would like to lead and we would like to work with others to lead. And so we are really looking forward not just to regional collaboration, but in the future, international collaboration to be able to drive our digital transformation agenda.
Thank you, Minister. And now I just want to close by thanking all of you for being here this morning. I want to say special thanks to Mr. Tariq Mohammed. You mentioned in your remarks that you've been advising youth for many years. So I'm guessing you're about 100 years old. Forever young. So thank you for being here in Grenada. You are the Caribbean ICT Youth Network Chair and Advisor to the Secretary General of the CTU. And I think that's impressive. Advisor, again, forever young. Thank you for your work with the youth, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. We also want to say special thanks to Chairman of the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission and your work in advancing digital transformation in Grenada. Mr. Vincent Roberts, thank you so much for being here with us and for your work. And finally, I want to say thank you to Mr. Rodney Taylor. Your work as Secretary General is not going unnoticed. We thank you, and we thank you for partnering with the government of Grenada for the 22nd Caribbean Forum of Caribbean Internet Governance. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our press conference. I want to wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy your lunch, and we see you in the afternoon for our discussions or continued discussions on Caribbean Internet Governance. Thank you.